Welcome to the Tilted Planet podcast, sharing journeys, stories, and a little wonder from around the world. I'm Jack, your host, and today we're venturing into a realm where the natural and the supernatural intertwine. A land where forests, mountains, and rivers are alive with spirits, mystics, and even shape-shifting tricksters. Just imagine you're wandering along a quiet forest path in Japan. The air is crisp, the scent of pine, cedar, and even some damp earth is filling your senses. Sunlight filters through the leaves in shifting patterns, casting dancing shadows that make the world feel alive, as though it's breathing around you. Each rustle in the trees or distant call of birds could be natural or perhaps a signal of something unseen. Here, as in stories told for many centuries, the world is never entirely as it appears. Invisible forces and even legendary creatures lurk just beyond our sight, watching, teaching, and sometimes playing tricks on those who cross their path. For generations, these tales have been passed down orally, preserved in literature, and captured in lots of art. They are more than just entertainment. They reflect values, fears, and the deep connection people had with the land. Today we'll explore the rich tapestry of Japanese folklore, from supernatural yokai and mystical Onmyōji to the cunning kitsune. These stories aren't just myths, they're reflections of human imagination, morality, and even cultural memory that's been preserved for centuries in art, literature, and oral storytelling. Now, yokai, broadly speaking, are spirits, demons or supernatural creatures in Japanese folklore. The term covers a staggering variety of beings, from mischievous tricksters to terrifying monsters, from shape-shifting to ghostly apparitions. They embody human fears, desires, and the mysteries of nature, often teaching lessons or even punishing hubris. One of the more famous yokai is the kappa, a water-dwelling creature with a dish-like depression on its head that's filled with water. Kappa are known for their cunning, often luring humans, especially children, towards rivers and streams. But they also have a strict sense of etiquette. If you bow to a kappa, it will bow back, spilling the water from its head and losing its power. This tale cleverly combines caution about real-life dangers, like swimming in rivers, with a moral about respect and politeness. Stories of the kappa vary across Japan, from mischievous pranksters to creatures capable of heroic acts, reflecting the rich regional diversity of folklore. Another widely known yokai is the tengu, bird-like forest spirit often depicted with a red face, long nose, and flowing robes. Once feared as malevolent, tengu were later understood as guardians of the mountains and forests, teachers of martial arts, and even protectors of sacred spaces. Tales of tengu warn of arrogance and impiety, and they embody the awe-inspiring and sometimes dangerous power of nature itself. Some legends describe tengu as masters of swordsmanship, guiding young warriors to discipline and skill, but only if they approach with humility. Others tell of travelers who were led astray by mischievous tengu, vanishing into fog and mist until they learned a lesson about respect. Then there's the naparerabo, or faceless ghost. These spirits appear as ordinary humans, but with a blank, featureless face, haunting travelers on lonely roads. The naparerabo evoke a sense of unease and remind us of unknown lurking behind seemingly mundane appearances. Such stories often carry dual meaning, both to entertain and to teach vigilance or discernment in everyday life. Across Japan, hundreds of unique yokai exist. Tsukumogami, household objects that come to life after a century. Then there's rokurokubi, women with necks that stretch unnaturally long, and honestly, many more. Collectively, they reveal a culture deeply attuned to the unseen, where morality, respect for nature, and cautionary wisdom are woven into imaginative storytelling. Through these creatures, we see how humans sought to explain the unexplainable and infuse everyday experiences with wonder. While yokai inhabit the world of the supernatural, humans have long sought to interact with, control, or protect themselves from these forces. Enter the Onmyōji, practitioners of ancient esoteric art, blending divination, astrology, exorcism, and even ritual magic. Onmyōji played an important role in the imperial court, advising emperors and nobility of auspicious dates, spiritual threats, and the unseen currents of the world. Among the most famous is Abe no Seimei, a historical figure shrouded in legend. Tales recount his uncanny ability to summon spirits, exorcise demons, and foresee even events, often blending fact with myth. One story tells of Seimei confronting a powerful Tengu who had been causing chaos in Kyoto. Using his knowledge of ritual and spiritual balance, Seimei tricked the Tengu into binding itself to an enchanted talisman, restoring peace to the city. Another tale recounts Seimei protecting the imperial family from malevolent spirits during times of political instability, demonstrating that mastery of unseen forces was considered crucial for safety and order. Onmyōji were also experts in geomancy and spiritual alignment, ensuring that palaces, temples, and homes were harmoniously arranged to avoid misfortune. Their legacy survives not only in folk tales, but also in Shinto and Buddhist practices, literature, and even modern media, where Seimei has become an archetype of wisdom, cunning, and mystical power. These practitioners highlight a fascinating aspect of human belief, the idea that the world contains hidden forces, and with quite a bit of study, discipline, and of course respect, humans can navigate and sometimes influence them. They kind of bridge the gap between superstition and structured knowledge, showing how culture blends imagination with practical guidance. Among the most enduring and enigmatic figures in Japanese folklore are kitsune, the magical foxes capable of shape-shifting often into human form. Kitsune embody intelligence, cunning, and adaptability, and their stories range from humorous pranks to quite dramatic moral lessons. A common tale describes a kitsune taking the form of a beautiful woman to live among humans, sometimes marrying them or testing their virtues. In some stories, they fall in love genuinely. In others, their tricks serve as a warning against deception, desire, or even pride. Kitsune are also messengers of Inari, the Shinto deity of rice and fertility, linking them to prosperity, protection, and sacred duty. Interestingly, kitsune can have multiple tails, up to 9, actually, with each additional tail indicating greater wisdom and magical power. Tales of 9-tailed foxes often blend awe and fear, presenting creatures that are simultaneously benevolent and also dangerous, capable of teaching, tricking, or punishing humans depending on their current deeds. Some kitsune legends tell of them protecting households or even towns from misfortune, acting as guardians when respected. But, of course, there's the other side, where they would wreak havoc when deceived or disrespected. Through these stories, we glimpse a culture that celebrates cleverness and adaptability, while also embedding ethical guidance into entertaining narratives. They reflect a world where humans are never fully in control and where natural and supernatural are constantly interacting, and where every encounter can carry a lesson or, and sometimes, a warning. Japanese folklore is not frozen in time. These stories continue to influence festivals, art, literature, and, of course, modern media. Masks of Tengu and Kitsune appear in theater, traditional dances, and seasonal celebrations. Yokai-inspired art flourished in what's called ukiyo-e prints, preserving the imagination of past centuries while influencing generations of artists moving forward. Even today, manga, anime, films, and video games draw heavily on yokai, kitsune, and Onmyōji. Series like Natsume's Book of Friends, Jijiji no Kitaro, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya carry echoes of these legends, introducing them to global audiences. You could walk through a Japanese city and see storefronts, signage, or artwork referencing these creatures, blending history with contemporary culture. But beyond entertainment, these stories reveal much about Japanese cultural psychology. They encode lessons about humility, respect for nature, and the consequences of deceit, and the mysteries that pervade life. They bridge the visible and the invisible, reminding listeners that the world is richer and stranger than it first appears. By exploring these tales, we gain not just an appreciation of storytelling, but also insight into how human societies have historically sought to make sense of the unknown, to teach and even how to preserve the collective wisdom. Japanese folklore invites us to wander past both literal and imaginary, where forests hide spirits, mountains can shelter mystics, and foxes teach lessons in cunning and wisdom. These tales remind us that every culture carries its own map of the unseen, preserving knowledge, caution, and imagination across generations of people. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the folklore of Japan, through the yokai, the Onmyōji, and the kitsune. Next, we're going to travel to the misty highlands of Scotland, a land of kelpies, selkies, and the legendary Loch Ness Monster, where ancient myths rise from the shadowed lochs and windswept glens. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to help support the show, you can always buy me a coffee with the link in the description. Every little bit helps me keep exploring and sharing these extraordinary stories and places with you. Until next time, tilt your perspective.